Okay, so as per every video that I'm doing face wise, I've already exfoliated and moisturized. I really can tell that I'm like so pale in this camera. Like I'm a little bit darker than the camera is putting off. I guess like the light is like just whoosh, washing me out, but I do have a little bit more color to me than this is putting off. Anyways, just back to the video. I've already moisturized and everything. I've already put primer on my eyes. This is the Lorac Behind the Scenes little primer that you get with like, these are like little mini ones that you get with the eyeshadow palettes. Some of them do come with them. I have like a crap ton of them. This is my favorite primer by far, and I'm so glad that I get multiple of them. But Lorac eyeshadows are probably like my favorite eyeshadows so far. So I went ahead and did that, and I used my concealer, which I will use on my face, because I do have really like prominent veins in my eyes that you can see. So I use like my foundation. If I put my foundation on first, I'll go over my eyes with it, but since I'm starting with my eyes first, sometimes I'll do that. I went ahead and just put my concealer on first. This is just the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, just to put it over like top of it, just so I can like have a little bit more coverage over those veins so you can't really see it through the colors. I'm going to be using a few different palettes. Lorac Pro Matte, it's just a little one, they're like all matte shades. And then Lorac Pro 1 and 2, the one is a warmer toned palette, so it's all warms. And then the Pro 2 is the cools. First off, we're going to go in with the Lorac Pro 1 palette, and we're just going to take this taupe brown color. It's just a light brown. I'm just taking this Sedona Lace EB09. It's just a fluffy blending brush. Let's do it like this. And I'm just going to go starting from like the outer V, you know, getting that color and sweeping it through there, but it's going to go like all over the crease. So this is going to be like an all over color where it's not so dark, so it's just gonna go like all over, even to the inner part. And sometimes it just depends on colors, there's fallout, and that's why sometimes I like to do my eyeshadow before I do my foundation, just so I don't have to reapply concealer. But that's a good way, so I'm just gonna go in and make sure that I got it all. Like I'm going all the way in, not like to the inner corner end, but basically all the way in, but I'm still leaving like a little bit on the lid, but avoiding that little inner corner. So I'm done with that palette. The only reason I use that palette is because the brown in this one was a little bit too dark and this was too light, so I really wanted that color. Just, who knows, just wanted it. So I'm going to go in with a little Pro Matte palette. I'm going to use this, not the darkest one, but this Corduroy brown. It's like basically the same brown, it's just a darker chocolate version of it. So I'm going to just use that same brush, just tap it off. I'm going to go in with the very outer with it and just blend that into it. So I'm not going to go all the way, and I don't want to go too dark, so I swept it off, like dusted it off, because I don't want too much of it. I just want like a little bit of a different contrast color with it. So I'm just going to blend that out in the outer part of it, just to give it a little bit more definition. So then we're going to take a flat shader brush. This is the Sedona Lace 305. They are just about like worn off the numbers because I've used these for so long. We're going to go in with that bare color right here, like not the white, but the right next to it, like the nuded highlight color. And then we're just going to go right here all over the lid. And even into the inner corner. Because this is also going to go as our highlight shade. So just go ahead and sweep that across the brow. Just put that like that. If you want, just go ahead and go in with the other brush just to sweep this across the crease just to blend all of that extra out. And then so I'm just going to go back into this a little bit lighter because I do want it a little bit more bright. Not too much, but just enough. Let's just keep doing that until you're satisfied with how light that you want that. So it's pretty good. So now that we're done with that palette, we're going to move on to the Lorac Pro 2 palette. I just hit myself on the face. And just because I really wanted to do something with this plum color, so that's the name of it. It's just a plum purple color. It's a little bit bright, but it is more on the cool side. But we're just going to barely incorporate that into it. So I'm just going to use my flat shaded brush again. Barely dip that in there. And then I'm going to go kind of into the crease. I'm just starting on the outer. I want to sweep that into that crease just so it gives it like a little bit more of that purple color, but it's not overboard purple, but it is working it into the shadow. So I'm just sweeping that right from the outer right into the crease, like just barely sweeping it to the inner. I want more on the outer. Just enough to give it that purple color. I'm going to take the rest and just dab it on the outer part. And then again, take that blending brush just to make sure that it all blends out smoothly. So I do want to go back in with that little matte palette and take that corduroy color, and this is a Maange. I'll have the names and the brushes that I use down below, along with the palettes and their colors that I use down below. That way if you want to find something similar to it. But that's just the name of the brush. It doesn't have a number or anything or a name. But it's just like a flat liner brush. It's a little bit wider. So I'm just going to take that and dab that into that corduroy color, and I'm going to put this on the bottom part of my lash line just to give it like a little bit more color than that black. I'm going to focus it on that outer part and barely sweep it inward. Okay, so that's exactly how I want that. So then I'm going to go in with my eyeliner. This is the WetNWild Mega Liner. Just in the black color. So I'm going to do like not too thick of a wing, but a pretty good. So we're just going to start. I don't like this brush as much as I used to like the other one, so I'm going to try to find another eyeliner. But this has got like that thicker felt tip. It's not like the brush bristles where they can just move. This is actually like a spongy felt tip. So it does create like a little bit of a thicker line if you do press in on it. So I don't like this one as much. But just have that right there. Oh, it's a little bit thicker, but not too thick. So then I'm going to go in with this Loreal Voluminous Carbon Black Mascara. I finally got into the bandwagon of this. This is like forever old. It was everybody's favorite. But I never wanted to venture out from my Rimmel London Lash Accelerator Mascara. I absolutely love that. I think I still like that a little bit better than this one. But this one is turning out to be pretty good. So I'm just going to layer. We'll just put one layer on my top just to give my false lashes something to cling onto. So just one layer of that. Because I have really, really little lashes, so false lashes just help. And after all this dries, I'm going to be putting some false lashes on. And I'm going to be using the Oh no, these are the Ardell Wispies. I think they changed them a little bit. It just dropped. They're like the Glamour Wispies. They just look like this. They're my all-time favorite lashes ever. If I'm usually like on an Instagram picture and my lashes are just like, those are usually the lashes that I am wearing. But so after this dries, I'm putting those lashes on, and then I'll go in with a second coat on my bottom lashes with this. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to go in with my foundation. I'm going to be using the Tarte Double Duty Beauty. This is the Empowered Hybrid Gel Foundation. Just looks like this. I'm just going to be taking this RC Cosmetics. It's just a flat top kabuki. And I'm sorry if my lighting is being all odd because it is that time of the day. It is about almost 3:30, I think. So it is, I had some things to do and it kind of like pushed back my filming. And I like to go with the natural light, so I've been trying to not rush through it, but at least get this done like while the lighting is decent. And I like to blend it down to my neck just because this one is a little bit darker, just like a hair bit darker. So of course I like to blend it down. Like this light's like reflecting off of everything that's on my desk, and it's like so bright and blinding me right now. So then I'm going to go in with my concealers. I'm actually going to go with just this one. This is the Urban Decay Naked Skin in Fair Neutral. I usually will use light neutral and fair neutral both, but I want to go a little bit more bright today, like with underneath my eyes. I did this yesterday too and I liked the way it looked. So I'm just going to put a little bit down my nose, a little bit right here, and of course a tad like this. And I'm just going to go and make a few little marks here because I'll have a little bit left over from here, so I can put the rest of it down here. But I like to do that just so it emphasizes my contour whenever I do a little bit more of a noticeable contour. So I'm going to go with this little beauty blender sponge. This is from Ulta. It's the little itty bitty micro sized or tiny sized ones, but then it does fluff up a little bit like this. So I've been testing this out to see how I like them because I'm always like a brush person. I've never been like a beauty blender person. So I figured I would just go ahead and test it out like this. I don't want to go too far under my eyes because I did put that color there. So I just like to have it like a triangle and drag it upward. But I'm testing this out just to see how I like them. So I figured why not just go ahead and test something a little bit, you know, cheaper than an actual beauty blender, just to see how I like the feel of sponges before I go and invest in a beauty blender. So far, I mean, they're okay. I'm kind of really liking brushes better, but you know, to each their own. Right. And of course like to go right underneath where that line is up there, and then blend it a little bit like at an angle going down my cheek.
Just make sure it's not too white.
If you want me to do like an actual in-depth highlight and contour video, then just let me know down below and I'll be sure to do that. I know I did one last year, but I have some new products and I think a little bit different technique than I did last year, but I'll have that linked down below. And if I do a new one, I'll have it linked down below. But if you'd like for me to do an updated one, then just let me know and I'll do that for you. Then I'm going to go in with the Lorac. I've used a lot of Lorac. Highlight, like contour, Lorac Pro Contour palette. It's a highlight and contour. I've been using this for the mirror sitting right in front of me. So I'm going to go in with this. I'm also going to go in with the brush that it came with just because I absolutely love this brush. And lately I've been going for like an actual real deep contour. So I'm going to go in with the deep color first. I'm just going to like barely get that in there. I'm just going to use this mirror for this. If you can't tell, it's really dark against my face. So I'm just going to kind of sweep that a little bit downward. Not too far down, but just so it has like a little bit more of a chiseled look. And I'm just going to sweep that in and blend it. But then I'm going to go in that same one, but I'm going to use this light color. I've been using like all three of them, but I'm going to use this light one just because this light is more of an ashy color. So I'm going to go in and do that same thing I just did with that color. Go right down with it. Then I'm going to go in with this Sedona Lace 602 brush. It's just like an angled kabuki brush. And I'm going to use that medium color. And this is going to be my bronzer color. I'm just going to sweep that like a little bit more upward so that way it's like a blush contour. I mean blush bronzer both because I don't use a bronzer that much, but it's not going to be this harsh. I'm going to blend it out. So don't you worry. I'm going like that. I'll barely sweep it over my cheeks. That way it's a little bit more color on my cheeks just because I don't like the way the blush looks on my face structure. But I'm going in with that blush up here on my temples. And I'm going to sweep it across my forehead. Do a little bit here. And I'll go in right here at my jawline just to give it a little bit of a definition. And I'm going to go back in with that Lorac and use that light color. Dust it off. I'm going to go down the bridge of my nose. Go back in with my sponge just to go over my nose just a little bit. And then dab over my forehead just so that highlight blends in. And do it on my nose. This is what I've been liking these blenders for after. It's like just to blend in. I'm going to go like that. But the key I found to like blend in my cheeks is going with your foundation brush where you still have a little bit of that foundation left, but do it over your cheeks like this where you contoured, like that way it blends it in a little bit more and that way it's not so harsh and dark. But I'm going to go in and do my eyebrows now because I'm looking a little bit crazy, you know, with all this and, you know, barely some light and bald eyebrows. So this is the Jordana Brow Powder Duo. This is in 01 Light. I use the darker shade at the bottom. And I will still forever use this because it's so cheap and it's amazing. It's just the e.l.f. small angled brush. Just go in with that. And I'm just going to go ahead and do my eyebrows and I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so if you would also like for me to do like an eyebrow routine, like an updated one, I'll be sure to do that for you. I'll leave my old one linked down below in the description box. But if you'd like for me to do a new one, then just let me know down below. I think I do it a little bit different. I like I do like my highlight and contour, but I think I do it a little bit different than I used to do it. So if you like to do see me do these babies, and then just let me know. So now we're just going to do the lips. I'm using all Colourpop Cosmetics and the liquid lipsticks. I swear, like, I look so much paler on camera than I do in person. Like, I literally look like a ghost on camera. I'm not this pale, I promise. But we're going to be using the Ultra Satin lip, the new ones that just come out with. This is in Toolips. And we're going to be using the Ultra Matte in Vapor and the Ultra Matte in Trap. So I'm just going to go in with this same brand that I used earlier on my eyes. It's the Maange brand. It's just a lip pencil. You can get these anywhere. But I'm going to go in with that that Toolips color. And I'm going to just outline my lips in it. I just found that it's a little bit easier to actually go in with a brush than to try to do it with the sponge tip. So then I'm going to go in with Vapor just to give it a little bit more color. And cover it all. And then just make sure that it blends in with that Toolips color. And then I'm going to go in with Trap just to give it like a little bit more of a plumping look and get blah blah blah. And put this lighter color in the center of my lip. And usually I'll just go with my finger just to blend in. It don't really bother me. So you can use that same lip pencil that you used, or you can go in with your finger. I just figured it's easier just to use your finger, but just have something quickly to mop it off with, so it doesn't stain your fingers or dry to it very quickly. But just so that satin is on the outside, it just gives it a little bit more not so dead feeling. It just gives it a darker look, but then that matte is just gonna plump. If you want to use a gloss, you can. I'm not really a gloss person at all, but if you want to do that, you can. If you want any blah 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 blah. But that is the entire look. If there's any other makeup looks that you want to see, or if you have those palettes and you would like for me to do like certain looks with certain colors, then just let me know if there's any new palettes that you want to see. I'm waiting for the new peach palette to come in stores at my local Ulta before I go pick it up, just to make sure that I want all the colors of it. And I'm going to be doing some tutorials with that palette if I get it and I like it. But if there's any other tutorials that you'd like for me to do, if you'd like for me to do like a palette collection video, just let me know. Like, I have a good range over here. That way if you want to see what palettes I have, that way if you have them and you want me to do looks with them, or if there's any new palettes that are coming out and you want me to pick it up and do a review on it or do some looks with them, then just let me know down below. But if you do like this makeup look, then just give it a big old thumbs up. Yes, please. And don't forget to subscribe down below. I'll give you a moment. If you haven't already, I'll give you a moment to go push that button. I'll just give you a moment. Just one moment. Okay, thank you for your subscription. Anywho, if there's any other makeup looks that you would like for me to do, or I have quite a few spring looks coming up. I do have some more darker looks like this. I mean, I know it's spring, but I can't help it. I love these little bit darker looks. So if there's any other videos that you would like for me to do, just let me know down below. If there's any colors that you want me to incorporate, there are some new spring Colourpop eyeshadows that just come out, and I did do a order. Well, I placed an order, so be sure to check out for the haul that's going to be coming up, because I am going to do one. Also featuring those lips, because I was going to do one just on the ones that I already have, which I have a lot already. I was going to do a haul on those, which I had already started to film, and then I was like, I placed another order, so I was like, wait, I might as well just wait and just put them all together. So there will be a Colourpop haul coming up, and I'm also going to be doing a tutorial using a couple of those shadows that I've got coming. So for spring, because they launched their spring collection, I also have a few colors from that collection in the lips. So be tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. Not be tuned, stay tuned. But I hope y'all have an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.